minute can open your eyes. One book can open your world. Knowledge gives you power. Read and rise higher. 9R Tree. Better life begins in a book.
Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to 9R Tree's podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. Howard Zinn offers a sweeping, ground-level narrative of United States history that centers the experiences of those most often ignored by traditional textbooks. Rather than following presidents, generals, and captains of industry, the book foregrounds indigenous nations, enslaved people, workers, immigrants, women, and dissenters who fought to expand the meaning of democracy. The revised and updated edition traces events from 1492 to the present, weaving archival sources, eyewitness accounts, and movement journalism into an accessible, provocative story. Zinn challenges readers to see how progress has been won not by benevolent elites, but through organized pressure from below. The result is both a counter-narrative and a civic invitation, asking how ordinary people have shaped the nation and how they still can. For students, educators, and citizens seeking a fuller, more honest account of the past, this book reframes familiar milestones and connects them to living struggles for justice. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, reframing discovery and indigenous resistance. The opening chapters dismantle the heroic myth of discovery by presenting European arrival as conquest with devastating consequences for indigenous peoples. Zinn draws on chroniclers like Bartolome de las Casas to show the scale of violence, forced labor, and disease that accompanied colonization. He highlights that indigenous societies had rich political, economic, and cultural systems long before Europeans arrived. Crucially, the narrative is not only about suffering, but also about resistance. From early revolts in the Caribbean to the Pueblo Revolt, and later movements for treaty rights and sovereignty, indigenous agency is central. This reframing matters because it establishes the book's method and moral stance. History is not a neutral ledger of inevitable progress, but a contest over land, labor, and meaning, where the voices of those invaded and displaced reveal truths obscured by celebratory national myths. By starting here, Zinn asks readers to recognize conquest as foundational to the Republic, and to see how ongoing indigenous activism challenges that foundation. Secondly, enslavement, racial capitalism, and abolition. Zinn situates slavery as a core engine of American wealth and power, embedded in law, religion, and daily life, rather than an aberration on the way to freedom. He traces the growth of racial slavery, showing how planter elites fostered racial divisions to prevent alliances among poor Europeans, Africans, and indigenous people. The book foregrounds enslaved resistance, from day-to-day sabotage and escapes to uprisings, and amplifies the courage of black abolitionists alongside white allies. Reconstruction emerges as a revolutionary opening in which multiracial democracy briefly flourished, only to be crushed by terror, compromise, and the rise of Jim Crow. Zinn emphasizes that emancipation did not end exploitation. It transformed it through sharecropping, convict leasing, and later segregation. By centering the agency of the enslaved and their descendants, the narrative clarifies how freedom was fought for, not granted, and how the legacies of slavery shaped policing, labor markets, and citizenship debates well into the 20th century and beyond. Thirdly, labor, class conflict, and the struggle for economic democracy. Industrialization created vast fortunes and new forms of hardship. Zinn chronicles how workers, including women and children, endured long hours, dangerous mills, and company towns. He profiles strikes and uprisings such as the Lowell Mill walkouts, the Great Railroad Strike of 1877, Haymarket, Homestead, Pullman, and the Lawrence Bread and Roses Strike. The industrial workers of the world broadened the horizon by organizing across skill, race, and gender. Zinn argues that reforms from the Progressive Era to the New Deal resulted less from enlightened leadership than from disruptive pressure by organized workers and their allies. He also details the limits of reforms, as corporate power adapted, co-opted unions, and mobilized the state to suppress radicalism. Through first-person testimonies, readers witness the cost and creativity of collective action, from sit-downs to mass pickets. The theme is consistent across decades. When ordinary people act together, they expand the realm of the possible and win material gains, though every gain faces counterattack. Fourthly, war, empire, and the politics of dissent. From the 1898 war with Spain to the Philippines, World War I, World War II, the Cold War, Vietnam, and later conflicts, Zinn analyzes foreign policy through the lens of empire, profit, and domestic control. He examines how leaders enlist moral language to justify interventions while suppressing dissent at home with laws like the Espionage and Sedition Acts. The book does not deny tyranny abroad, but insists that humanitarian claims often mask strategic or economic aims. Crucially, Zinn documents anti-war traditions, the Anti-Imperialist League, conscientious objectors, GI coffeehouses, mass marches, and whistleblowers. Vietnam becomes a turning point where soldiers, students, clergy, and veterans helped check state power. The narrative links war-making to inequality, surveillance, and racism, arguing that militarism redistributes wealth upward and narrows democratic debate. By amplifying dissenting voices and revealing hidden costs, Zinn invites readers to evaluate official narratives and to see peace movements as patriotic efforts to broaden democratic control over life and death decisions. Lastly, civil rights, feminist, and grassroots movements that reshaped democracy. Zinn presents the 20th century as an era when marginalized groups forced the nation to confront its contradictions. The civil rights movement moves from sit-ins and Freedom Summer to Black Power, emphasizing grassroots organizers, local campaigns, and the role of ordinary people who took risks. He parallels this with feminist struggles for workplace equity, reproductive freedom, and liberation from gendered violence, noting both wins and unfinished fights. The narrative also includes Chicano and farm worker organizing, native sovereignty actions like the occupation of Alcatraz, the gay liberation spark at Stonewall, and environmental justice campaigns. Rather than a parade of charismatic leaders, Zinn focuses on strategies like coalition building, civil disobedience, mutual aid, and community control. He argues that each wave of progress provoked backlash, reminding readers that rights are living achievements that require ongoing defense. The chapter concludes with lessons from organizing traditions that continue to inform movements for voting rights, immigration justice, climate action, and economic democracy today. In conclusion, this book is ideal for students, educators, organizers, journalists, and any reader who senses gaps in standard narratives and wants a rigorous, human-centered alternative. It benefits your life by sharpening critical thinking, expanding empathy, and revealing how power operates and how it can be challenged. By tracing concrete victories won by people without wealth or office, it offers practical hope and a usable past for civic action now. You should choose this book over conventional surveys because it delivers a coherent bottom-up narrative across 5 centuries, integrates voices usually confined to footnotes, and links past events to present dilemmas without jargon. The revised edition strengthens its relevance with updated chapters and sources. More than a catalog of injustices, it is a guide to agency, showing how ordinary people remake institutions. If you want history that equips you to question, organize, and act, this is the most compelling single volume to own. If you would like to support Howard Zinn, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.
1 minute can open your eyes. 1 book can open your world. Knowledge gives you power, read and rise high.